Hey team, so today we're diving deep into what happens when you really train yourself physically and push yourself beyond limits, because we've talked so much about what happens when we do this over the course of time in a lack of recovery, but or when we're getting sick and what happens to HRV, but what happens when you really just push yourself hard? And quite frankly, I went through that today. So if you're new to this YouTube channel, what we do is we look at biometric data, how it's impacting our bodies, how it works for us. And by doing so, what we can start to change so that we can perform at the highest levels of our ability day in, day out. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, subscribe, the little alarm so that you get notified whenever these videos come out, because they come out on a weekly basis. So quick story here is I was at an event this past weekend, 2 weeks ago, called High Performance Living by Brian Massa. We were down in Austin, Texas, and I was training for it for a long time, like really getting uncomfortable. And I've all heard of like Hyrox games or the CrossFit games or Spartan races or DecaFit or whatever they may be. You're going to go and you're going to really push hard. And I did a piece of micro content this past week on my Instagram that talked about how when you're prepping for a marathon, what happens to your body, and ultimately how you can start to balance those things. But when we start taking a look at this, it's important to understand that we do need to put physical stress on our body in preparation for what we're looking at. And so if I share my screen here with you and I look at my Whoop data, you can see how over the course of time, my green recoveries have been the majority at the height, right? Well, as we got closer to competition time, we went through different cycles, cycled down, saw yellow, came back up to green, came back down, saw yellow, into the red, and competition day was this Saturday. And when I say it was this Saturday, we can see how ultimately I had a 1% recovery on the Sunday. And a lot of people would look at this and go, oh my gosh, this is like, we're getting sick, something's wrong. If you went and you took a look at my respiration rate, I actually saw a highly over 20%, which typically, what do we say? It's respiratory episode, COVID, or something else went wrong. We take a look at my resting heart rate, and I had a massive resting heart rate spike. I had a massive HRV drop. Something must be happening. Something must be not right. But the key indicator here that A, I'm not sick, B, I don't have COVID. You see the rebound right after? It's a single day. So Sunday, 42, Monday, all the way up at 95. Monday or Sunday, 68, Monday, all the way back down at 48. Respiratory rate, again, up at 16, boom, back down to 14. So it's not that there was something that was chronically difficult that was going on in my body that it couldn't recover from, but rather that high bout of physical output. And in this, we had 6 different events, 6 events that were 5 minutes or longer in duration that kept me at about 90% plus of my max heart rate for that entire time. So we were redlined for anywhere from 3 to 6 minutes, and we did it repeatedly 6 times in the course of a single day. And then we had a long event the day prior and a long event the day after. So they were really pushing and taxing our bodies. Now, what we need to understand here is that it's okay to have recovery scores drop, but we need to be able to make sure they're coming back up. We should see it as a cycle. We should see ourselves recover, stress it, see it drop. Recover, see it rise, stress it, see it drop. And it doesn't mean that we don't work out during those days. It doesn't mean that we don't push ourselves during those days. It just means we have to change the volume and intensity. So right here, where we see that I'm at 108 HRV for the day, what this tells me is that we should push intensity and we can push volume. So we can push both of these, which is going to start to push us a little bit. Okay. When we start to see that our HRV drops, a rule of thumb that I utilize is when your daily HRV is below your 30-day average, which right here is 88, we drop intensity, but we maintain volume. Okay. So for example, right here, I'm pushing intensity and volume. I'm pushing intensity and volume. I'm pushing intensity and volume. I'm pushing intensity and volume, pushing intensity and volume. Right here, it drops to 83. We've now dropped below. I'm going to drop intensity and we're just going to go for volume. So it might be a 45-minute bike ride at a steady state. Now I see here, oh, I dropped again. I'm going to keep intensity off. I'm going to drop volume a little bit. It might be a 30-minute bike ride. Oh, I drop again. Because it's a 3-day decrease in HRV, we go back to immune function, the controllable. I'm going to take my phytogen. I'm going to take my vitamin C, my iron, and I'm going to take the day off and do yoga and strict recovery work. Well, all of a sudden, boom, I see that I'm back up. I push intensity and volume this day. I go back up again. I push intensity and volume again. Oh, I'm down to 88. I drop volume. Oh, sorry, pardon me. I drop intensity and I keep volume. So this is like my 45-minute bike ride. I'm back up. I go back to intensity again. So this is how we can make sure that we are continually stressing our body appropriately. And this is how we program to make sure that we are continually being able to push ourselves without overstraining and ultimately under recovering. And it becomes a rule of thumb that we can just literally go off of. So people ask me all the time, like, what days do you work out? What days you don't? I work out every day. I stress my body every single day. I just vary the volume and intensity based off what my HRV is. And that's how we do it. So if I go back over this time again, 108, it's above my 30-day average. So I'm going to go high intensity, high volume. And that could be a EMOM. It could be a more of a CrossFit style workout. It could be heavy weights with interval work. It could be high intensity interval training. All of those are acceptable. Same thing on this day, because I'm at 100. Same day here. Same thing here. Same thing here. On this day, when volume stays high, but intensity drops, I strictly go conditioning. So it's going to be somewhere in like that 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, a bike ride, a run, an elliptical, a Stairmaster, a incline walk, something that gets your heart rate into that space, but the intensity is gone. It's just more steady state. And then we continue with that. When we start to see, when we eliminate the intensity and we just maintain volume and we still see drops in HRV, that's when we have to put a active recovery day in, be it a sauna, a steam, yoga, breath work, something that is just no physical activity in terms of a heavier nature until we see that increase again. And so if I come over here and we see that impact of this high output, which was on this day right here, the Saturday, boom, we see a massive drop on that Sunday to 42. And to be quite honest with you, this Sunday, I didn't do anything. No, sorry, I did do something. I did a longer duration run that day. We saw immediately pop up again. This day, I had some high intensity work and I dropped right down to 89. Again, some high intensity work, 94, high intensity work, 91. And then this 73, I just had to take off because my body needed it. I was really not feeling awesome. Even on this day, I still just did a bike ride. And then this day, I started to add in some weights again. So this is how you can use HRV to start driving your programming to make sure that you are doing the right things necessary. Because remember, our bodies are literally giving us the answers every single day. So as we go into this, as we use it, make sure that you're using your data to make decisions so you can make the best decisions for you, because success is different. We have to be different so you can own it. So again, if this is your first time here, guys, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you let us know any questions that you have so we can provide the answers for you to own your life. See you next week.